So what are some of the things that are keeping you awake at night? Like, what do you feel like? What's your soul like restless about? And you just feel like God telling me, like, if I don't do this, woe to me.
I think there's a couple things. I think in the South, I hear church planners say I want to reach the unchurched, and I think it's time, especially in the southeastern part of the United States, that we finally admitted that there's not a lot of unchurched, because people in the South go to church. Now there's some, and because we got them to come here, but for the most part, there's unchurched, but then there's dechurched. And the dechurched went to church and they hated it, and they left. And trying to get those people back in church and engage them is tough. The other thing is the number of people that we have had come to our church from other churches that have been in church all their life and have never heard the gospel. They've never heard that Jesus Christ died for my sins and I am made right with God through a relationship with Jesus. They've never heard that. Never. And I'm going, what's being taught? Because I'm not the dude. I don't go on everybody's website and listen to what they're teaching every week and then critique them and send them 4-page emails. I really have a life and a wife and a daughter, and I love to have fun, and so I don't have time to do all that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, and so it keeps me up at night. Like, how can we really, really, really get church leaders to understand the importance of the gospel? Because you can have the coolest lights and the neatest sound system and the best worship band and the most strategic plan out there, but if you don't have the gospel, people come to your church every week, all their lives, and they die and go to hell. That's a bad thing.
Wow.
That's just a bad thing. So that keeps me up at night. And the other thing is, how can we reach more people for Christ? I want to see people meet Jesus because he radically changed my life. Changed me. I mean, I did a 180. I hate it when people say they did a 360. Blows my mind. I'm like, well, you're going the same way, you moron. I want people.
Well, that's
to
the
meet.
D-church, right? Like the
Yeah, the
church
360.
360.
So anyway, yeah. I just want more people to meet Jesus. I just want to see that. And people have said, well, you're in a number. Well, yeah, because I want more people to meet Jesus. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to, yeah, absolutely, because that gets me geeked out.
So tell me a little bit about what was your story like of when you first encountered Jesus?
Well, I encountered him when I was 5 years old at an independent Baptist church where the pastor preached on Elvis at least once a month. It was in the late 70s. He hated Elvis. And literally, I tell people I had the hell scared out of me because I went up one night to pray. Long story short, went up one night to pray at an altar because I had ADD. I'd been sitting there. He had preached about Elvis for an hour and a half. And so I go down front. He lays his hands on me and tells me to pray this prayer. And I pray the prayer, and afterwards he scared me. He was a big man, big hand, prayed the prayer. And afterwards he told me I was going to heaven. And so I just thought I was going to heaven. But man, Jesus didn't live in me because I didn't live for him. And I lived a pretty reckless life until I was about 18 years old. Guy started inviting me to church, play basketball, told me there were cute girls there. I went. Over a period of about 8 months, man, God really rocked my world. May 27th, 1990, he, in his incredible grace, revealed to me, you know about me, you don't know me, and I asked Christ to come into my life, and he changed me. And so ever since then, I haven't been the same. He really revolutionized everything about me.
One last question. If there was like one thing that you wish that you could just tell anybody who's interested in planting a church, what would be that one like nugget of wisdom that you would give them?
It's something that, I'm glad you asked that. It's something that God's pushing into me lately. And I would tell every church planter this. I said this on the Nines, the things that Todd Rhodes and those guys put together. Love Todd Rhodes.
He was sitting in this chair for 2 days.
I love Todd, man. He's a great guy. My big thing is you can't plan a move with God, but you got to prepare for it. That's been the thing I've been trying to tell church planners, because church planners sometimes we will think, not you, but we will think, well, if I have this direct mail piece and I have the right series and I have the right lights and I have all this stuff, and then okay, God can move. And man, I have seen God do more through unplanned events in our church than I have ever seen him do through planned stuff. And I would just say you can't plan a move of God. And I'm not saying don't do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but at the end of the day, if the reliance is not on the gospel and the preaching of Jesus and the supernatural work of His Holy Spirit, it doesn't matter what we have in our churches. It's just there's not going to be any fruit.
What's one of those unplanned events that you're talking about where you saw that happen, where you're like, man, we didn't plan for this, but this is incredible. This is how God showed up.
2002 is the first one first of many that we saw. But 2002, I'm preaching a series called Highway 146. We're going through the other religions of the world and teaching basically what they think and what they say and what they believe, and kind of exposing the myth that all religions teach and say the same thing. And August 11th of 2002, we had 504 people show up. August 18th, we had 970. Within 6 weeks, we're sitting at 1,600 people. We didn't do a mailer. We didn't do we didn't do a newspaper ad. We didn't do television. It's just there wasn't a church that split in town and sent people to us. We can't explain it, but
wow.
God just moved, and it's just been a ride ever since.
Now say those numbers again. What were the jumps again?
504 to 970, and the next week we had over 1,000. Within 4 weeks or 4 or 5 weeks, we're at 1,600 people.
And now, how big is Anderson?
The county has 170,000 in it.
Okay.
So at our Anderson campus today, we'll have between 8 and 9,000, 9,000 people. We opened our Columbia campus today. It was our first Sunday.
I was just hearing about that.
We had over 500 people show up for that.
And you were praying for 200? Is this what I heard?
We thought that 200 would be a win. 300 would have been like a huge God-sized victory. In Ephesians 3:20, God's like, please bring it. Florence has been going less than a year. We had over 600 show up there today. And in Greenville, we had 1,900 show up there today. And so it's and we didn't plan on any of that. We didn't know. We just knew that God told us to take the gospel to these places, and we're doing it, and we're seeing fruit. And so as long as that happens, man, we're going to keep doing it.
Well, cool. Perry, thanks a lot for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Looking forward to experiencing a worship service here at New Spring tonight.
It'll be fun, man. Thanks.
Thanks.